My child, stop for a moment. Stop scrolling. Stop reaching for the next thing. Stop telling yourself that this is just another message you can come back to later, because I need you to hear me right now in this moment. While your heart is still and your hands are still, and the noise of the day has finally settled enough for my voice to reach you. What I am about to tell you is not a platitude. It is not a comfortable sentence meant to make you feel better for a few minutes and then fade. It is something I have been holding back until you were ready to receive it. And tonight, you are ready. Tonight, the wall you built between us is thin enough for my voice to pass through. Tonight, the part of you that has been pretending you are fine is too tired to keep pretending. And that is not a weakness. That is the door I have been waiting to walk through. I am about to restore what you thought was lost. Read that sentence again. Let it settle into the place behind your chest where the heaviness lives. I am not telling you that I might restore it. I am not telling you that I will restore it if you do everything right, if you pray longer, if you try harder, if you finally become the person you think I want you to be. I am telling you that I am about to restore it. The decision has already been made. The motion has already begun. You are not watching and wondering whether I will move. You are watching the early edge of a movement I began before you ever asked. There is something you lost that you have stopped praying for. Not because you stopped believing I could do it, but because you started believing too much time had passed, too many seasons had gone, too many doors had closed, too many mornings you woke up and the thing you were waiting for was still not there. You stopped praying for it the way a person stops knocking on a door that never opens. Not out of anger, but out of a quiet, exhausted certainty that the door is locked. I heard the last prayer you whispered about it. I heard the way your voice broke on the word please. I heard the way you trailed off, the way you did not finish the sentence, the way you turned over in your bed and decided that you would learn to live without it. And I want to tell you something about that moment that you have never understood. The reason you could not finish that prayer was not because your faith failed. It was because I was absorbing the weight of it for you. I was taking the grief out of your hands so that you could keep walking, and I was holding the answer just out of your sight, not to be cruel, but because the answer needed more time to take its full shape than you could have borne. I do not restore things halfway. When I restore in a way that leaves no seam, no scar, no place where the brokenness shows through. And that kind of restoration cannot be rushed. It cannot be forced into the timeline you had in your head when you first asked. It has its own season, and I know that season has felt long, and I know that the waiting has cost you more than you have told anyone. But I am here tonight to tell you that the season is closing. The waiting is ending. The thing you laid down is being picked back up by my hand. And when I return it to you, you will not recognize it, because everything that was broken about it will be whole, and everything that was taken from it will be restored, and everything that was wasted in the years it was gained will be redeemed. You thought it was gone. You thought I had let it slip through your fingers. You thought the closing of that door was a final answer, a no, a sign that I had moved on to someone else, someone more deserving, someone whose faith did not falter the way yours did. But I have not moved on. I have never moved on. I have been working in the space behind the closed door this entire time, preparing what you could not see, mending what you did not know was mendable, gathering what you thought had scattered beyond recovery. Stay with me. Do not rush past this. There is more I need to show you about why it was taken, what I was protecting you from, and what is coming back into your hands in a way that will silence every voice that told you it was too late. What you thought was lost is not lost. It was entrusted to me, and I am about to return it. Let me say it one more way, because I know how quickly the heart reaches for certainty and then lets it slip. You did not find this message by accident. You did not stumble onto it among the noise of 100 other things demanding your attention. I drew you here. I quieted the noise just enough for you to notice. I made the room around you still enough for these words to land. And I did that because this is the moment I chose to tell you, face to face, spirit to spirit, that the thing you buried is not dead. The thing you stopped praying for is not forgotten. The door you stopped knocking on is not locked. I am about to open it, and I am about to open it soon. And when it opens, you are going to need to be ready to walk through it, because what is on the other side is a restoration I have been preparing in secret for longer than you have been asking for it in the open. My child, now that you have heard me say it, I need you to understand what was actually taken from you, because you have never been able to name it clearly, and the not naming has made the grief heavier than it needed to be. You have been carrying a loss you cannot quite describe. It is not one single thing. It is a shape made of many things layered over years, and you have learned to walk around with it the way a person learns to walk around with a limp. You stop noticing how much it costs you. You stop noticing how you have arranged your whole life to accommodate it. You stop noticing that you gave up entire parts of yourself just to keep the pain from getting worse. Some of what was taken was a relationship, a person you loved or thought you would love for the rest of your life, and the door closed between you in a way that left no room for explanation. You replay the last conversation. You rehearse the things you wish you had said. You carry the weight of words that were never spoken and words that were spoken and cannot be taken back. And in the silence that followed, you concluded that you were the reason it ended, that your failure was the cause, that if you had been better, quieter, more, less, different, the door would still be open. Some of what was taken was a season, a time in your life when you were full of something, hope, direction, certainty, a sense that you were walking towards something that mattered. And then the season ended, and you never quite found your way into the next one. You have been standing at the edge of that ended season for a long time, looking back at it, measuring everything since against it, telling yourself that the best part of your life is behind you, and everything from here is just maintenance. Some of what was taken was a part of yourself, a tenderness you used to have, a willingness to trust that you let go of after the last time it was used against you, a dream you put down so quietly that you almost forgot you ever carried it, a version of yourself that was lighter, more open, more willing to begin, and you buried that version under layers of protection that you call maturity, but that I call armor. I need you to hear me clearly about this loss. It was not a punishment. It was not a consequence of your failure. It was not me taking something from you because you did not deserve it. There were things in that season, in that relationship, in that version of yourself that were not ready to bear the weight of what I am about to build in your life. If I had let you keep them, you would have built on a foundation that could not hold, and the collapse later would have been worse than the loss now. I did not take from you to harm you. I took from you to make room. But here is what you have not understood, and it is the thing I most need you to hear tonight. The room I made is not staying empty. I did not clear the ground to leave it bare. I cleared it the way a builder clears a site before raising something new, and the new thing is already on its way. What was taken was not the end of the story. It was the clearing of the ground for the next chapter, and the next chapter is the one where I restore. You have been grieving the loss as though it were final. You have been mourning as though the thing taken was gone forever. You have built your life around the shape of the absence, and you have started to believe that the absence is just how it is now, that this is the new normal, that the part of you that is missing is a price you have to pay for whatever you did or did not do. That is a lie, and I want you to lay it down tonight. The absence is not permanent. The loss is not final. The thing you have been walking around is coming to an end. I know what it cost you. I know the nights. I know the mornings you woke up and the first thing you felt was the weight of it. Before you were even fully awake, before you remembered where you were. I know the way you have learned to hide it, to function around it, to be the person other people need you to be while the grief sits quietly in the center of your chest. I have been with you in every one of those mornings. I have counted every tear you did not let yourself cry. And I have been preparing in the silence the exact restoration that matches the exact shape of what was taken. You are not going to be left with the absence. You are not going to be asked to live the rest of your life around a hole. I am the God who restores, and I do not leave my children incomplete. What was taken is coming back, and it is coming back whole. My child, hear me now, because this is the part that has been hardest for you to accept. And it is the part you most need to understand before the restoration can come. You have asked me over and over in 100 different ways why I let it happen, why I let the door close, why I let the person walk away, why I let the season end, why I let the thing you were building fall apart. You have not always asked it out loud because you were afraid of what the question would sound like. Afraid that asking it meant you did not trust me. Afraid that the answer would be something you could not survive. But the question has been there, under everything, and tonight I am going to answer it. I let it happen because I love you. I know that is hard to hear. I know it sounds like the kind of thing people say when they do not have a real answer. But I need you to stay with me because the love I am describing is not the shallow love that just wants you to be comfortable. It is the love that is willing to let you walk through something hard in order to bring you into something true. There were things growing in that season that would have harmed you. There were roots that looked like stability, but were actually entanglement. There were doors that looked open, but were leading you somewhere I could not let you go. There were people who looked like the answer, but would have become the obstacle. And I, who see what you cannot see, who know what is at the end of every road before you take the first step, closed what I closed, because keeping it open would have cost you more than closing it ever could. You saw the loss. You did not see what I saved you from. You saw the door shut. You did not see the destruction that was waiting on the other side of it. The destruction I stepped in front of. The harm I absorbed so that you would not have to. You have been angry with me for the closed door. You have never once thanked me for what the closed door kept out, because you cannot see it, and I do not blame you for that. But I need you to trust me tonight that it was real, and that it was significant, and that the closing of that door was one of the most loving things I've ever done for you. Here is how you can begin to tell the difference between a door I close and a door the enemy closes. A door the enemy closes comes with shame. It makes you feel smaller, more afraid, more convinced that you are broken, and that the brokenness is the final word about you. It locks behind you and leaves you in the dark. A door I close comes with grief, but not with shame. It hurts, but it does not diminish you. It feels like a death, but something in you, if you are quiet enough to feel it, knows that it was not the death of something good. It was the death of something that was not meant to be. And the grief is the grief of letting go of what you thought you needed, not the grief of losing what was actually yours. The door I closed for you was that second kind. And the grief you have been carrying is the grief of a release, not the grief of a theft. You were not robbed, you were rescued, and the rescue cost you something, and I know it did, and I am not asking you to pretend it did not. I am asking you to let me turn the bomb to a foundation. There is one more thing. The season of loss was not only protection, it was also preparation. While the door was closed, while you were in the waiting, while you were learning to live around the absence, I was doing something in you that could not have been done any other way. I was softening the places in you that had grown hard. I was deepening the places in you that had grown shallow. I was teaching you to hear my voice in the silence, to find me in the dark, to trust me when I was not giving you what you asked for. That is not nothing. That is the most valuable thing you carry now, and it was forged in the very loss you have been resenting. So when you look back at what was taken, I want you to see it differently, not as the place where I abandoned you, not as the evidence that I do not care, but as the place where I protected you, prepared you, and positioned you for the restoration that is now at the door. The loss was not wasted. The loss was the soil. And from that soil, something is about to grow that will make you understand for the first time why every hard thing had to happen exactly the way it did. My child, I was there. I was with you in the loss, and I am with you now in the restoration. And because I am with you now, I need to warn you about something that is already stirring at the edge of your life. When I begin to restore, the things I removed come back to try to return. Not because they have power over you, but because they sense the shift, the way certain animals sense a change in the weather before a human can. The door I closed does not always stay closed without a fight. The season I ended will try to restart itself. The person I let out of your life will try to walk back in. The old version of yourself, the one you buried, will try to claw its way back to the surface. Dressed up in new clothes, pretending it has changed, pretending this time will be different. I need you to hear me very clearly about this. Do not go back. The restoration I am bringing is not a return to what was. It is a movement into what is new. And the temptation, when you feel the first warmth of restoration, will be to mistake it for permission to reopen what I closed. You will feel the old pull. You will hear the old voice. You will remember the old comfort, the old familiarity, the old shape of your life, and you will be tempted to reach for it because it is familiar, and familiar feels safe, and safe feels like the thing you have been missing. But familiar is not the same as good. And the thing I removed was removed for a reason, and the reason has not changed, even if the thing has changed its appearance, even if it comes back speaking kinder words, even if it promises that this time it will be different. The enemy is not creative. The enemy recycles the same doors, the same voices, the same comforts, because they worked on you before, and he is betting they will work on you again. You will know the difference by this. What I am bringing into your life will ask you to become someone new. It will stretch you. It will require you to trust me in ways the old thing never did. It will not ask you to shrink back into an old shape. It will not ask you to abandon the growth you have done in the waiting. It will fit the person you are now, not the person you were when the old thing was taken. If something comes back and it fits the old you perfectly, if it asks nothing new of you, if it simply wants you to resume the life you had before the loss, that is not my restoration. That is a trap dressed as an answer. I am telling you this now before the restoration fully arrives because I want you ready. I want you to recognize the counterfeit when it comes, and it will come because the enemy does not sit quietly by while I restore what he tried to steal. He will send a look-alike. He will send a near miss. He will send something that is almost right, close enough to fool you if you are not paying attention, close enough to draw you back into the very thing I spent years separating you from. When that happens, do not negotiate with it. Do not entertain it. Do not tell yourself that you are strong enough now to handle it, that this time you can keep the good parts and leave the bad, that you have grown enough to make it work. That is the oldest lie there is. The thing I removed cannot be made safe by your maturity. It was not removed because you were too weak to handle it. It was removed because it was not mine, and it was never going to lead you where I am taking you. There is a specific memory trying to surface in you right now. There is a specific face, a specific name, a specific season, a specific version of yourself, and you know exactly which one I am talking about. That is the one I am warning you about. Not because I want to keep good things from you, but because I have something so much better. And if you go back to the old thing, you will not have hands free to receive the new. Let me say it one more time, because I need it to settle into your bones. The restoration is not a return. The restoration is a graduation. You are not going backward. You are going forward into something that the old season could never have given you, something that is worth every year of the waiting, something that will make you grateful, not for the loss itself, but for the fact that I loved you enough to close the door when I did. Do not reopen what I closed. Do not resurrect what I buried. Do not go back for what I led you out of. The new thing is coming, and it is already closer than you think. My child, I tell you again, your restoration is near, not distant, not theoretical, not somewhere out on the far horizon where you have to squint to see it. Near, close enough to feel the first edges of it pressing into your life, close enough that the atmosphere around you has already begun to change, even if your eyes have not yet caught up with what your spirit already knows. I want to tell you what the first signs will look like, because I do not want you to miss them. I do not want you waiting for the loud, dramatic, unmistakable moment and overlooking the quiet, ordinary, almost imperceptible ways I begin. My restorations rarely arrive the way people expect. They do not come with thunder. They come like dawn, slow and certain, and by the time you notice the light, the darkness has already been retreating for a long time. The first sign will be a settling, a deep, quiet settling in the place that has been restless for years. You will wake up one morning soon and realize that the low-grade anxiety you have carried for so long, you stop noticing it is simply not there. You will reach for it out of habit, the way you reach for a pain that has been there so long it became part of your body, and you will find that it has lifted, and you will not be able to say exactly when it lifted, only that it has. The second sign will be a return of something you thought you had lost for good. Not the big thing, not yet. A smaller thing, a piece of yourself, a tenderness, a willingness to hope, a capacity to enjoy something simple without immediately bracing for it to be taken away. You will catch yourself laughing, really laughing, and you will be surprised because you had started to believe that part of you was gone. The third sign will be a convergence. Things that have been separate will begin to come together. A door you were not watching will open. A person you were not expecting will appear. A path you thought was closed will turn out to have been rerouted, not blocked, and you will see that what looked like a wall was actually a turn. These will not feel like miracles in the moment. They will feel like ordinary life, and that is exactly how you will know they are mine, because my restoration does not bypass the ordinary. It redeems it. I need you to understand something about the timing, because the timing is where your faith has been the most strained. You have been measuring my restoration against your timeline, and your timeline said it should have come a long time ago. You have been counting the years, counting the closed doors, counting the mornings you woke up, and the answer was still not there. And with every count, the voice got a little louder. The voice that says, I have forgotten, that I have moved on, that you asked and did not receive because you were not enough. That voice is lying to you, and I want to expose it tonight. The reason the restoration has taken this long is not because I was withholding it. It is because I was preparing you to hold it. There is a weight to what I am about to give you, and if I had given it to you when you first asked, it would have crushed you, not because it was too heavy, but because you were not yet strong enough, not yet settled enough, not yet free enough of the old things to receive the new thing without trying to pour it into the old shapes. I have been doing two things at once. I have been preparing the restoration, and I have been preparing you. And both have taken exactly the amount of time they needed to take, and not one day of it was wasted, and not one ticker of it was unnoticed, and not one prayer of it was lost. I kept every one of them. I have them stored, and I am about to answer them, not in the way you imagined, but in a way that will exceed what you imagined, because I see the whole picture, and you have only ever seen a corner of it. Here is my promise to you tonight, and I want you to hold on to it like an anchor. What I am about to restore will be better than what was lost. Not a copy, not a consolation, not a reasonable approximation that you learned to settle for. Better, more whole, more rooted, more yours. The years the locusts ate are not being returned to you as a refund. They are being redeemed into something that will make the years ahead so full that the years behind will no longer feel like a debt. You are going to look back on the season you are in right now, the season that has felt like the longest and hardest of your life, and you are going to call it the beginning, not the end, not the wasteland, the beginning, because this is the place where I turned everything, and the turning has already started, and you are standing right now at the very first edge of it. My child, restoration is not only about what I will give you, it is also about what I am asking you to release. And I am asking you to release something tonight before the restoration fully arrives, because there is not enough room in your hands for what I want to put there while you are still holding on to what I am asking you to lay down. I am not asking you to release the thing you lost. You already laid that down or tried to. I'm asking you to release something deeper. I am asking you to release the story you have built around the loss. The story that says you were the reason it ended. The story that says the closing of that door was a verdict on your worth. The story that says the waiting has been a punishment, or a test you keep failing, or a sign that you are not as loved as the people around you whose doors keep opening. That story has become part of you. You have told it to yourself so many times that it no longer feels like a story. It feels like the truth. It feels like simply the way things are. But it is not the truth, and I need you to release it. Because a story that is built on a lie cannot hold the restoration I am bringing. If you try to receive what I am about to give you while still believing the old story, you will distort the gift. You will receive it through the lens of the lie, and it will not be able to take its full shape in your life. So I am asking you right now to do something concrete. I am asking you to release the timeline. The timeline that said it should have come by now. The timeline that says you are running out of time. The timeline that compares your life to the lives of the people around you and concludes that you are behind. That timeline is not mine. I have never operated on it. My timing has never been late, not once, not in your life, not in any life. And the moment you let go of your timeline and trust mine, you will feel a peace that has been chasing you for years finally catch up with you. I am asking you to release the identity of the wounded one, the one who is defined by what was taken, the one who introduces yourself to yourself in the quiet of your own mind by your losses rather than by my love. That identity was a season. It was a way of surviving the loss. But the season is ending, and the identity that helped you survive the winter will become a cage if you carry it into the spring. You are not the wounded one. You are the restored one. You are the one I am bringing back to life. And I need you to begin to see yourself the way I see you, not as the sum of what was taken, but as the sum of what I am about to return. I am asking you to release the need to understand. You want to know why. You want a complete map of what I did and why I did it and what every piece of the loss meant. And I understand that wanting, because you were made for understanding, and not knowing is uncomfortable. But I am asking you to release the demand for the full picture, for you will trust me. I will show you parts of the why as you can carry them. I will give you glimpses, but the full why is larger than you can hold right now. And if I gave it to you all at once, it would not answer your question. It would only raise new ones. Trust me with the why, and let me give you the what. And the what is this: I am restoring you, and the restoration is good, and you do not need to understand the entire mechanism of a gift in order to receive it. I am asking you to release the bitterness, the quiet, slow bitterness that has been building in you against the people whose doors opened when yours closed, against the ones who seem to have received what you are still waiting for, against the ones who walked away from you and seem to have thrived. That bitterness has been eating you from the inside, and you have called it justice or fairness or simply the truth, but it is none of those things. It is a poison that is not touching the people you are bitter against. It is only touching you, and I am asking you to let it go tonight, to open your hands and let it fall, because there is no room in a restored heart for the weight of resentment. Here is what will happen when you release these things. You will feel lighter, not immediately maybe, but soon. You will feel a space open up inside you that you did not know was closed. You will feel a capacity for joy that you had forgotten you ever had. And into that space, I will begin to pour the restoration, and it will fit, because you will have made room for it, because you will have trusted me enough to let go of the things you were using to hold yourself together in the absence. Lay them down. The timeline, the identity, the need to understand, the bitterness. Lay them all down at my feet, and I will take them, and I will give you, in their place, a peace that does not depend on understanding, and a hope that does not depend on a timeline, and an identity that is rooted in my love and not in your loss. Release the old, my child. The new is already here. My child, I want to speak a blessing over you tonight, over your mind and over your home, because the restoration I am bringing is not only for your heart, it is for the place where you live and the place where you think. And both of those places have been affected by the loss, and both of those places need my touch. I bless your mind. I bless the mind that has been racing, that has been replaying, that has been rehearsing every version of what went wrong and what could have been different. I speak peace over that mind tonight. I speak stillness over the thoughts that will not stop turning. I speak rest over the part of you that has been trying to solve what only I can solve, to figure out what only I can figure out, to hold together what only I can hold together. Your mind was not made to carry the weight it has been carrying. It was made to rest in me, and tonight I am lifting the weight off it, and I am placing it back where it belongs, on my shoulders, where it has always belonged. I bless your mind with clarity. There has been a fog over your thinking, a heaviness that has made it hard to see clearly, hard to hear me clearly, hard to trust your own discernment. That fog is lifting. I am clearing the air. You are going to begin to see things you could not see before, not because the things have changed, but because your eyes are being healed. You are going to recognize what is mine and what is not, what is from me and what is a counterfeit, what is restoration and what is a trap. I am giving you back your discernment, sharpened, not dulled by the waiting, made keener by the years you spent learning to listen for my voice in the silence. I bless your home. I bless the place where you live, the walls that have held you, the rooms where you have prayed and cried and waited. I speak my presence into those rooms. I speak peace into the corners where the loneliness has gathered. I speak warmth into the spaces that have felt cold. Your home is going to become a place of rest again, not just a place where you sleep, not just a place where you carry the weight alone, but a place where my spirit dwells, a place where you are met, a place where the restoration takes root and begins to grow. I bless the relationships in your home. Where there has been distance, I am bringing closeness. Where there has been misunderstanding, I am bringing clarity. Where there has been a quiet estrangement that no one names but everyone feels, I am bringing the courage to name it and the grace to heal it. I am sending people into your life who will walk with you in this next season, people who are for you, people who see you, people who will not require you to perform or to pretend. You have been isolated in the loss, and I am ending the isolation, and I am surrounding you with the kind of community that the restored life requires. I bless your future. I bless the days ahead, the days you have been afraid to hope for, the days you have been afraid to imagine. I speak life over them. I speak fruitfulness over them. I speak joy over them, a joy that is not naive, a joy that has been through the fire and come out the other side, a joy that knows the cost of things and chooses to rejoice anyway. You are going to laugh again. You are going to dream again. You are going to wake up one morning soon and realize that the future is not something to be dreaded, but something to be welcomed, and that the God who held you in the loss is the same God who is walking ahead of you into the gain. I bless your identity. I bless the person I made you to be, the person the loss tried to erase, the person the waiting tried to shrink. I am calling that person back to fullness. I am speaking my name over you, the name that is truer than any name the loss gave you, the name that is truer than any name you gave yourself in the dark. You are my child. You are the one I love. You are the one I have not stopped working on, not for one moment, through every season of the waiting. That is who you are, and no loss, no door, no silence, no season of absence has changed it, and nothing ever will. I bless the decision you are going to make in the days ahead. There is a decision forming in you, a choice that the restoration is going to require of you, a step that will feel too big, too risky, too much. I am blessing that decision before you make it. I am going ahead of you into it. I am preparing the ground on the other side of it. When the moment comes, you will not have to figure it out alone. You will feel my hand on your back, steady and sure, and you will know that the step is mine as much as it is yours, and you will take it, and the ground will hold. Receive this blessing tonight. Do not push it away. Do not tell yourself you do not deserve it. Do not measure it against what you think you have earned. My blessings are not earned. They are given. And the one I am giving you tonight is the blessing of a father who has watched his child walk through a long, hard season and who is now standing at the end of it, arms open, ready to welcome you into the next one. Come, the restoration is here. Walk into it, my child. Doubt is one of the sharpest weapons the enemy uses, and he is going to use it against what I have spoken to you tonight. He is going to come to you in the hours after this message ends, when the quiet returns, when the words have begun to fade, when the ordinary shape of your life presses back in. He is going to whisper that what you felt was just emotion, that the peace was just relief, that the hope was just a momentary lift, and that nothing has actually changed. He is going to point at the closed door, the unresolved situation, the thing that has not yet visibly turned, and he is going to say, see, nothing is different. You are still waiting. You are still in the same place. God did not mean it. God did not mean you. This was for someone else. I need you to be ready for that voice because it will come, and if you are not ready, it will steal what I just planted in you. The restoration I spoke of is real, but it is not yet fully visible. And the gap between the word and the visible fulfillment is exactly the gap where doubt does its work. Every promise I have ever given has passed through that gap. Every word I have ever spoken has had to survive the silence between the speaking and the seeing. And the ones who received the fulfillment were the ones who held the word through the silence, who did not let the doubt talk them out of what I had given them. So tonight, before you sleep, I am going to give you a sentence. Not a long prayer, not a formula, a single sentence, one breath that you can carry into the silence, that you can hold up against the doubt when it comes, that will anchor you in the word I have spoken until the word becomes visible. This is the sentence. Say it after me in your heart and let it become yours. Lord, I trust you with what I cannot yet see, and I lay down what I cannot hold. Say it again. Let it settle. Let it become the shape of your breathing tonight. Lord, I trust you with what I cannot yet see, and I lay down what I cannot hold. That sentence is not a magic words. It is not a spell. It is an act of the will, a decision of the heart, a handing over that you make with your eyes open. When you say you trust me with what you cannot see, you are not pretending the uncertainty is not there. You are acknowledging it, and you are choosing in the middle of it to trust me anyway. You are saying, I do not have the proof yet. I do not have the visible fulfillment yet. The door is still closed. The situation is still unresolved. The restoration is still hidden. But I trust the one who spoke the word, and I will hold the word until the word becomes the thing. When you say you lay down what you cannot hold, you are releasing the weight that was never yours to carry. You are not giving up. You are giving over. You are taking the timeline, the identity, the need to understand, the bitterness, the grief, the whole heavy bundle of the loss, and you are placing it in my hands, where it has always belonged, where I have always been willing to carry it, if you would only let go. Carry that sentence with you tomorrow. Carry it into the morning. Carry it into the conversations you have to have. Carry it into the rooms that feel heavy. Carry it into the decisions you are afraid of. When the doubt comes, say it. When the fear comes, say it. When the old story tries to reassert itself, say it. When the enemy whispers that nothing has changed, answer him with it. Let it become the rhythm under your days this week, the quiet heartbeat that keeps you steady while the visible restoration takes its time to arrive. And I want to give you one more thing tonight, because I know you and I know that even with the sentence, the silence will be hard. I am going to give you a sign, not a dramatic sign, not a sign you can demand or predict or manufacture. A quiet sign, a small one, the kind I specialize in. Somewhere in the next few days in the ordinary course of your life, you are going to encounter something, a word, a phrase, a moment, a detail that will confirm what I have spoken to you tonight. It will be small enough that you could explain it away if you wanted to. It will be specific enough that when it happens, you will know it is mine. Do not look for it desperately. Do not strain for it. Just live your life, carry your sentence, and watch. I will make sure you do not miss it. My child, I have spoken to you tonight because I love you. I have pressed into your spirit because the season of waiting is ending, and I needed you ready for what is coming. I have told you the truth about the loss, that it was not a punishment, that it was protection and preparation, that the ground it cleared is about to be built on. I have warned you not to go back to what I removed, because the new thing is too important to lose to an old comfort. I have promised you that the restoration is near, that the first signs are already pressing into your life. I have asked you to release the old story, the old timeline, the old identity, so that there is room for the new. I have blessed your mind and your home and your future and your identity. And I have given you a sentence to carry through the silence until the visible fulfillment comes. This is my message to you tonight. What you thought was lost is not lost. What you thought was finished is not finished. What you thought was the end is the beginning. I am about to restore what you thought was lost. And when I do, you will see that every hard thing, every closed door, every silent morning, every unanswered prayer was part of a love that was working all along to bring you to this place. My child, I heard what you prayed. I heard the prayer you thought I ignored. I heard the last whispered please, and I am answering you now. What you are about to see could change everything, and you did not give up. You stayed, and that is the proof that everything I have spoken tonight, it is already beginning. Walk into it. Walk into it with your eyes open and your hands open and your heart open. The restoration is mine. The restoration is now. The restoration is yours.